What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we have a pretty big, juicy news update for Destiny 2. And so we are going to talk about Season of Dawn, the upcoming reveal for that season, and some of the content that we can expect, as well as a bit of a discussion about the possibility of trials. So we'll touch on all of that stuff, but we're going to talk about the boss yeet glitch, which Bungie have kind of recognized. That is the one where you can throw bosses off of the map, which is pretty crazy. We'll also touch on a hidden Shadowkeep DLC area, some patch note previews for changes that we're going to see in December, upcoming catalyst changes, missing lore, feedback about the game, and we'll talk just a little bit about Bungie's non-Destiny project, which is starting to ramp up, as well as some other cool stuff. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, a rating below is very much appreciated, but now, let's get into it. And so the first thing we should talk about right here would be the reveal for Season of Dawn. And so Bungie announced that they will be doing a reveal stream for the next season on Wednesday the 4th of December, which is next week. And they say Dawn is almost upon us, so we will be live streaming this right here on the channel. We'll catch up and see what the new content is all about, so be sure to stay tuned right here. We do have some new changes and updates to round up for Season of Dawn, but first, Deej did share the full artwork backdrop for next season, and of course, we do see that new Vex architecture in the form of a portal structure. And it's very interesting kind of confirmation, I guess, because a few weeks ago, we first pointed out some hidden pieces of Vex themed content, and it wasn't entirely clear what it would be for, but it looks fairly certain at this point that these are our first glimpses for Season of Dawn. We've got a new Vex Goblin-styled linear fusion rifle, which is obviously a pretty unique weapon, and it does come with a codename Sundial. And as we've spoken about before, we are fairly certain that we can spot this Sundial structure on one of the devs' displays. It does appear to be on Mercury, and I think it's reasonable to assume that the Sundial will be a kind of crafting tool, or maybe rune table sort of mechanic, much like the Chalice or the Lectern in Shadowkeep, and that makes total sense given Bungie's recent approach to activity rewards. And so once again, there is a good chance that these things we're seeing right here will be part of what we get in Season 9, but another big question, especially with this being a Vex drop, including more Mercury content, would of course be the question of trials. Bungie have teased that they're working on something new in the kind of trial style space, and they have been testing elimination, stating that they would like to find it a warmer home. And it does appear that Mercury is going to be a focus again in one way or another, so there is a potential link to Osiris there. And even if you look at our current story with Ikora's portal, which is supposedly going to lead us into next season, and we even see that Vex portal for the artwork for Season 9 as well. But then if you put the story stuff aside, folks did point out that Bungie recently renamed the Trials of the Nine category in the Fireteam section of the companion app to just Trials. And so that's pretty interesting, but there are also rumors that folks like Real Crafty will be heading to Bungie for a summit, which of course is where Bungie preview upcoming content for the game. And even just a day or so ago, Bungie said on Twitter that we're hard at work making PvP the best it can be, and as we said, we've been laying the groundwork to build upon. And so there is a lot of evidence to support a possible Trials return, but whether we get it in Season of Dawn alongside the new content that we'll see there, or whether it comes later on in the year, isn't entirely clear just yet. So be sure to let me know what you think could happen, but what we can be certain of is that next week we will get additional patch notes for some of the kind of significant changes in Season of Dawn. So DMG confirms that Destiny Update 2.7.0 will bring a bunch of quality of life changes. They'll drop a preview for that next week, and it once again refers to the Escalation Protocol armor, and we are going to see some kind of adjustment there. So I'm not entirely sure what that could be, but on top of this, it looks like we will be getting some improvements to Ada 1 and the Black Armory content. And so a player was complaining about the drop rates of mods and acquiring things like rare Black Armory bounties, and DMG simply said stay tuned. And so it does seem likely that we will get more quality of life improvements for that content. A couple of things going on in the game this week. Interestingly, Ikora didn't have any additional dialogue or anything like that related to Season of Undying, but Bungie have said the impact of our victory on the Undying Mind hasn't been made fully clear, and in time we'll learn more about how this will further evolve the world as we transition into the next season. And so that pretty much leaves next week for some kind of narrative development, potentially. Also in game this week, you can now purchase Season Pass ranks with silver. Folks have been asking about this one, and if you are curious, it does cost 100 silver to purchase one Season Pass rank. And so you can imagine that could be pretty expensive stuff if you wanted to try and level up a significant amount of that Season Pass. So I'm curious about what you think of the pricing and everything right there, and of course having that functionality in the game. Be sure to give us your thoughts in the comment section. For some other news and roundups though, it appears that Bungie are starting to ramp up on their non-Destiny projects, so Rob Engeln from Bungie said, "Gonna take a moment of appreciation for Bungie, which is employee owned, and has a really generous and equitable profit sharing model. Oh, and we're hiring both for Destiny and secret new stuff. And we've known that Bungie do have non-Destiny projects they're working on for the future. It's just interesting to see evidence of that development kind of ramping up at this point. And I do wonder how long it'll be until we get any more information about what that project is, but back to changes for Season 9. Of course, last week, Bungie revealed a bunch of Solar subclass adjustments, and Cosmo did add something that was missing in the patch notes, but Icarus Dash can now be activated twice before cooldown. And of course, that goes alongside a bunch of the other Dawnblade changes. And then there are, of course, changes for other subclasses. Also in last week's update, Bungie said that they will be featuring a reprised Iron Banner armor set next season. There was a little bit of speculation as to whether we could see a D1 armor set return, but DMG did clarify, I want to set proper expectations, we will not be reprising a D1 set for Iron Banner next season. And so considering it's a reprise, that pretty much means we're going to get an armor set we've already had in D2 at some point. I believe it was last season that they reprised the original Iron Banner armor set from vanilla D2, and so maybe we're going to get one of the variations of that, but I'll have to keep you posted. Something you may have heard about recently would be boss eats, and this is where you can basically send various different bosses flying off of the map to their demise. And initially, we should recognize that Bungie have kind of recognized this themselves, and actually did it with the movie of the week by sharing a video where the Undying Mind yeets the player back. And so Bungie haven't said specifically that they're going to fix it just yet, but they've definitely recognized that it's going on. My friend Jarv did make a video about this, so I'm going to link it down below. But basically, there is a glitch where you can pocket a finisher, and to do it, you have to get an enemy to the point where they can actually be finished. But then you need to stand just outside of melee range, use a melee attack toward that enemy, but push the finisher key at the same time. And if you do it right, it'll actually pocket the finisher, which means next time you melee, basically it will pull the enemy that you pocketed the finisher on toward you and allow you to apply a finisher move immediately in that space. And so if you push up against a boss, it's possible to kind of apply the physics of the finisher move to the boss as well and send them flying off the map. It's not a 100% reliable glitch, but it's certainly pretty hilarious, and it's quite remarkable just how many different enemy types it can actually work on. And so if you want more details about how that works, I will link my friend Jarv's video down below, and credit to JB3, who originally posted this glitch on Reddit. I know we're kind of zigzagging across all different kinds of stuff going on in the game at the moment, but Bungie talked just a little bit about catalysts, and there was some feedback about the Ariana's Vow catalyst in the game, and DMG said that the team has been looking at feedback over the season on the catalyst, and they will be applying what they've learned to future catalysts. So the complaint was that kills with the weapon don't actually help you with the catalyst quest. And so DMG said with future kind of catalyst quests, which is pretty interesting in itself, right? Because it's kind of a confirmation that we'll get more Ariana 3 style exotics in the season pass that then maybe come with an additional quest to obtain the catalyst, right? Looks like that's something that they'll do in the future again, but hopefully some of the objectives will be improved. And once again, there are a series of different exotic catalysts which are currently in the database, and that includes catalysts for new exotics. So we can see icons for all of the new DLC exotics there, and the classified catalysts that go alongside them. But also, it appears that more data was added for the Truth Catalyst. I think it seems fairly likely we could see more exotic catalysts in Season 9 than what we have this season. Somebody made a comment about the Mercury Flashpoint and the fact that it hasn't been featured for quite some time, and it's pretty interesting with a potential focus on Mercury for next season. DMG said, looking into this, for a few weeks we had an issue where Heroic Adventures weren't working properly, and so the Flashpoint wasn't available in rotation. The issue has since been resolved, and so Mercury as a Flashpoint should come up in a future week. Get hyped, my friends. On the subject of other kind of minor fixes and bugs, for PC players, where the roster sometimes isn't showing people on your friends list and things like that, Cosmo said it's currently being investigating, and we don't expect a fix in the short term, but we'll let you know when we have more info. And so that is one thing that Bungie are looking at. AnonPig also pointed out on Twitter that the lore tabs for the Garden of Salvation raid rewards is still not actually visible in the game, and Cosmo did confirm that the strings were added to the build but didn't get hooked up correctly to showing game, and this should be fixed in the next update. And so as far as we know, that next update will be update 2.7.0 that we get in December to kick off Season of Dawn. That is, unless we get another update before the end of this season to drop any kind of random unexpected content in. Speaking of random unexpected content, Dexelarity posted to Raid Secrets a pretty curious hidden area on the moon. And so it's a section very close to Enduring Abyss, where there's a cave. You pretty much have to glitch in to actually see this, but there are a bunch of skeletons and Ahamkara bones and even Ahamkara skulls laying around. And to get to the area, you do need to glitch out of the map, which is pretty interesting. There's no kind of a legit way to find this in the game. And so is it kind of a secret area for something in the future, or is it just cut content? Maybe stuff that Bungie were playing around with but didn't necessarily find its way to actually being in the game. I'd definitely be curious to hear what you guys think about it, but I will link the videos from Dexelarity down below. There's also a guide there for how you can get into this space, so you can check that out if you want. And before we finish the video, for any of you guys in the UK, Deej did tweet out, join us for an evening of celebration, challenges and surprises at the Dawning Festival in London. I'll be there with other members of Team Bungie to celebrate the new season, and with this being in the UK, it's one I'll be looking to go to as well. It is actually on December 17th, and I'll link that tweet below so you can check out all the details if you want to. It's also curious that it's called the Dawning Festival, and so I wonder whether the Dawning will kick off on the 17th as well. With the seasonal event returning, it's pretty likely that it's either going to start on December 10th when the season starts, or that following week on the 17th, so that's pretty interesting in itself. But for now, guys, that is everything I wanted to round up in this video, and we have had quite a few things to touch on, so as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the things we've spoken about in the video, but if you have enjoyed this one, a rating is very much appreciated below, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to get subscribed to keep up to date with everything related to the world of D2. You can also check out my sponsor, Into the AM, who have some really cool clothing in their store. Got loads of cool hoodies, hats, graphic prints, shirts, bandanas, accessories, you name it. And if you like any of the stuff, you can save 10% using code Houndish, so if you want to check that out, the link will be down below. But otherwise, thank you guys for tuning in, and as always, whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.